This is example 3 of lesson 1.1, ratios. We are talking about the number of squares and the number of circles I have here. If the ratio between squares and circles remains the same, how many squares will I have if I have 14 circles? So, first, we need to determine the ratio of squares to circles. And that's fairly straightforward. We just need to count how many squares and how many circles. How many squares do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We have 10 of these. I'm still drawing in circles. That's cool. 10 of these. And how many of these? 4. All right, so our ratio is 10 to 4, which if we write as a fraction, 10 to 4, every 10 squares I have 4 circles, I can simplify that. Okay, I can simplify that. Let's simplify. 10 and 4 have a common factor of 2, so we'll divide both top and bottom by 2, just like if we were dealing with fractions. Divided by 2, which equals, 10 divided by 2 is 5, and 4 divided by 2 is 2. So our ratio is, if I get rid of some of this extra junk, our ratio is 5 halves. That is our ratio. Okay, our ratio of squares to circle is 5 halves. And I can see that. If I, for example, just took half of these, divided it by 2, as I did, I have 5 squares and 2 circles. So, how do I find out how many squares I will have if I have 14 circles? Well, again, just like if I was dealing with fractions, I would start with 5 halves and go, okay, this 2 is circles. So if that 2 was 14, well, how many squares would I have? Well, it's an equivalent fraction now. How do I go from 2 to 14? Well, times 2. Okay, what I do to the bottom, we got to do to the top. I bet you didn't think you'd hear that again this year. And it's not times 2, is it? It's times 7. My mistake. Times 7. I don't know why I thought times 2. Times 7. 5 times 7 is, of course, 35. So, how many squares would I have if I had 14 circles? I would have 35. The ratio 35 to 14 is equivalent to the ratio 10 to 4 and the ratio 5 to 2. All 3 of these ratios are equivalent, just like the fractions are equivalent. Ratios and fractions are pretty cool. And what this ratio means is for every 5 squares, I will have 2 circles. 5 squares, 2 circles. 5 squares, 2 circles. And that's it.